All right, welcome back to episode 6 today of our talk show. Your host. I'm here with my co-hosts, Chris and Wayne. Today, we're going to be talking about why men don't have close relationships or close friendships. And we're going to get the conversation started and right now here. So how you fellas doing? Doing good?
All good. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for tuning back in with us for episode 6.
Glad to be back here. We have some good conversations.
Morning, everybody. All right, so friendships, man.
Yeah.
What's the
Why don't we
thing?
have close
How
friendships
do you
as
guys
men?
build friendships? How do you guys keep friendships?
I think it's I think it has to do with trust. If I trust you and we kind of share some of the same similarities and like what we like to do, um, that makes for a long lasting friendship. But to answer the question, why don't we have close friendships, is basically because it's just certain times where in friendships it starts to deteriorate. You might see that this friendship is not really good for me and it's not serving my mental health to the best of my ability. And I see that it's not going to last a long time. So that's one of the reasons why sometimes, I had to end friendships because it wasn't serving me to the best of my ability that I can handle it. Another reason why I think men don't have close friendships is because it has to do with the type of friends you have at that particular time in your life. So I was talking to this one guy and he I thought he was a pretty cool guy and I thought he was a good friend to have at the time. I was like 15 at this time, but I started to see I got in his car one day and I thought he didn't really smoke, but he pulled out a vape while he was smoking, while he was driving. And I'm not going to say that that's illegal or anything like that, but when you jeopardize by doing that behind the wheel, that's where I see that I don't think that this is going to work out for you. Shouldn't be doing that behind the wheel. Like, that's just unacceptable. Like, I mean, we're grown, we can do whatever we want to do, but I think that you need to be really present when you're driving. You know what I mean? You don't want to jeopardize anybody's life by doing that while you're trying to drive. It doesn't make sense to me. But that's just kind of been like some of my experiences. Do you guys has any experiences that maybe you had in the past, friendships that you thought that why you don't have close friendships anymore? Anything like in the past that you had to
So
deal with?
I'll say that, for me personally, being in the military and always moving around, it seemed like every place I went to, I made new friends there, but then the friends of the past kind of just faded away. And I've kind of gotten used to, and also growing up, I went through like 9 different schools in 12 years. And so for me, I'm kind of used to people coming and going in my life. And when I went to the military and started, growing up as an adult, the friends that I grew up with, they kind of faded away because they thought I was turning into somebody different. And, we kind of grow at different paths. And so I just got used to just people just coming and going. And now I got to the point where it's like I don't expect people to stay. I've kind of learned to just appreciate you while you're in my life, and I just wait for the. I'm not that I'm actively waiting, but in my mind, I just assume that eventually you're just going to go on your own way, and so that's why I really don't have any close friendships because I'm guarded because I don't want to be too close to somebody and really like think like, man, this guy right here, like he's my best friend. Like we're gonna be friends till we're in our 60s, and then next year, like they're gone. And so I just kind of keep to myself.
Yeah, I resonate with that one as well, man. What's the point mentality, right? Like just so tired of putting in the effort to get it, to not get it in return, or to not get what I'm looking for, you know, which is, maybe it's an issue between my communication. But I honestly think it's just a societal thing nowadays. Nobody's used to being friends anymore. I think everybody's been so busy working. Like I'm 38, so you know the bulk group of my friends are, you know, in their 40s, 45, 50. I'm also in the trade, so most of the people I'm around are usually older than me, and they're just not used to being in group environments. They're not used to being around people, and the pandemic definitely didn't help that. You know, everyone kind of reclused and was comfortable with staying home. You know, well, I didn't say they didn't get comfortable. They learned to be comfortable staying at home, like with all the restrictions and everything. And that's a really dangerous part of life, is that when you get comfortable being alone, you're fine with it. You literally just don't care if there's people in your life because you're content all on your own. And that's the point where I'm getting at in my life, where people could come and go and it just doesn't matter. You know, it's great to have people in my life, and I want people in my life, but I don't need it in any way, shape, or form. I could be, you know, a loneliest person on the planet, just walking solo in the desert. It's no different than I walk every day to work and back. There's nobody there in my world, which is, it's tough to accept, but when you do, it's just life. It's just how it is, right? And I think that's also why I struggle to meet friends, because they can maybe sense that on me. They're just like, man, this guy's like Mad Max, you know, just going through the wasteland on his own. But that's the reality of it, is once you get comfortable being alone and comfortable not putting yourself out there to gain friendships, you just stay there, because what's the point, right? You know, I'm also an empath, so I really feel vibes really bad, man. I get this, I don't know if it's a sixth sense or what, but you know, if the vibe ain't there, the vibe ain't there. And if I
No,
don't,
you're right. And I think so many of us are in that same boat. It's like you you want those close relationships. Like I still think back to my days as a kid in the summers, I'd be out in the country, you know, and Ohio, raised in Ohio, so I'd be out in the country in Ohio. All my cousins and all these friends and everything, we were all so close. We're always together, right? But now as an adult, like I still want that, but I just I just kind of give up. Like you said, I'm just okay with being alone. I have a family, right? They're with me. Um, they bring me happiness, and so I kind of just accept that I don't have those close friends that I can go play poker with, shoot hoops with, or watch a game. Like yeah, I just kind of accept it. But I try to remember. I try to tell myself there's a fine line between like being the lonely cat lady, right, and accepting that people come and go. And so it's hard because I don't want to go down a path where eventually I'm the lonely dog guy. But it's just like it's hard. Why put in all the effort if the person's only going to be there for a short while?
And I also think it has to do with our past friendships that we have. So if we know that it didn't go really well in the past friendships, you know, sometimes we contemplating about making new friends and wondering if it's going to actually result in mistrust again. So because I know for me, trust is a lot is really big with my friendships. Like if I feel like you give me the slightest of mistrust, or if I catch you in a lie saying that you're gonna do certain things, but you don't act out and do it, then that's where I just cut you off. And I don't think second about it at all, because trust plays a very key part in my friendships. If I don't feel like I can trust you, then bye bye, you're gone.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was hard when we were younger to do that, to let those people go. Now as an adult, like you don't give a fuck. It's just gone. Like you just
Yeah.
what? Oh, you said you was gonna be there and you're not. Like, all right then, whatever. And that's just it. You just cease communication with that person.
So
Yeah,
I think
your
it's
past
sometimes
friendships definitely do
so.
play a role in your future friendships.
for sure. Like historically too, like you were just saying, Duran, is historically we used to give more trust when we were younger, right? You're used to like, oh, here, man, this is me as a person. This is who I am. And your friends, they're like, they either resonate with that or they don't, right? Whereas
Yeah.
as an adult, you're like, hey, man, I got this little bit of myself. You want to know about it? You know what I mean? Like you don't go into friendships and you don't go into relationship the same as an adult.
Yeah.
And I think it
I
is
never thought about it like that. Yeah.
historically, all your historical traumas and like, oh man, that guy, I had this one friend that used to smoke, and therefore, he's always going to be like that friend that smoked, right? Or, this guy never wore a seatbelt in the car and that guy killed 3 people driving. I'm going to be, this guy doesn't wear a seatbelt in the car. He's the same, right? They're the same person, but, really they're not. And I think giving that basket of trust, especially after being hurt, has been probably the most difficult part of building friendships. Just being like, all right, man, this is me, who I am, and everything about me. You like it? You not like it? If you do, great. If you don't, see you fucking later.
But yeah, Duran talked about the past, right? Where I mean, we've all been there, and I'm sure people who are watching this, guys, they've been there too. Is the reason why they're so guarded is that you've let somebody in, a guy, a girl, whatever, and you are close friends, and then they turn around and use that information against you or to belittle you in some type of way. It's not, you're just like, I'm going to keep everything to myself, right? Another thing too, part is the societal norm is that it's men. They think that men don't need close relationships, right? Um, Men don't go to the bathroom together like women do. Like we go to a restaurant, we're all three at a dinner table. I'm like, all right, I'm going to the restroom real quick. Chris, you're not going to get up and go with me, right? like, Duran, you're not going to get up and go with me. But if this is my wife and her friends, and they're going to go to the bathroom, hey, I'm going to the bathroom. Hey, me too. All right, and then they're going, and you would, and so I think like because we don't have that super close connection that way with other guys that we don't need. But that's not true. Like we need this close connection. We just don't need it as often. Like I don't need to see a homeboy like every single day, right? I don't need you to come by my house every day. I don't need you to call my phone every single day. But it's nice to know you're there, right? Like I said, every once in a while we get up, play a pickup game or something like I used to when I was younger. Before families, things like that, we had those connections. But now it's like the society, like I said, the society, the norm is that men don't need those close relationships because we have so many other things to worry about.
Man, there's nothing better than hearing, I got your back. I
Oh
got your
yeah,
back. Man. If you're dealing with some shit, you're going through some stuff, man, I got you. And to really genuinely know that that person actually like cares and actually has your back, I don't think there's a better feeling as a man, especially a lonely man in this world. There's nothing that just is so just enthralls my heart to hear something like that from somebody. Man, I got your back, dude. It's okay. Like I really do have that. I think men do need each other, but we've been completely remodeled to think that we don't, man. And we absolutely do. And our community, this community that we're creating is clear signs of that, man. For TikTok to blow up like yeah, it's just there's a reason for it. But men want this thing, man. You guys want bros. We want bros. Go out
yeah,
there and find them, man. Talk to a dude. If you're at a gym, man, you seen the same guy in that gym for the same year that you are, and you guys haven't spoken to each other. That guy wants to talk to you. They
And I,
want to make friends, right?
and I think it also goes back to vulnerability too. A lot of men are not vulnerable. We don't really communicate how we're feeling or what we need out of a friendship. So when you do have friends, it's like, should I tell them this? Should I tell them that? What are they going to think about when I say certain things? So you can't really get too vulnerable with some of your guy friends because they might think you're weird or some type of like that. I don't know if you had guys had friends like that, but
not weird. Let's call it what it is. Let's be straight to it, right? You do that with the wrong guy. It's like man, quit being a pussy, right? like
yeah,
pull up your dress. All right, your girl dumped you. So what? Let's go out and find another one. Like that's how we when we're younger, how we help ourselves out. It's like, man, that girl dumped you. Just five more. Let's go to the bar. But really, you're like, I don't want another girl. I want that girl, and I'm hurt. But you don't know how to say that. So you go to the bar and you're just there, and now you're binge drinking and things like that. And that leads to more other types of behavior. So
We never
it's
learn how
hard
to
to
be
just say,
vulnerable as men, basically.
yeah,
You know, women, I think women cry more than men. Like, and that's sad.
I think women cry with an audience more than men.
Mm.
I think men cry just as much as women, but you have to do it alone. And that's why people think that men don't cry. It's because we have to go hide somewhere to do it. Do it in our cars while we're screaming on our way home. We do it in the bathroom while we're taking 25-minute bathroom breaks. 10 minutes is for the bathroom, the other 15 is to collect ourselves. Just how it
yeah,
happens, ladies. I'm sorry. We're not in there for 40 minutes because we want to be. We're in there because it's the only place we get any goddamn peace and the only place we can feel any goddamn feelings. So yeah, we're gonna be there for a little bit. We're gonna feel them feelings and we're gonna come out like nothing happened.
Yeah, and
hey,
I think
don't.
that I think
Oh,
toxic.
right. I was
Yeah,
gonna say, make sure my wife doesn't hear that because she's gonna come knocking on the door now.
No
yeah,
more therapy on the toilet.
yeah. Toxic masculinity plays a lot a role
Yeah,
in
it
why we
does.
don't have close friendships because people don't, men don't want to open up and say how they really feeling or what they need or what they want because they're conditioned to be strong. But if you're my friend, I think I only have one close friend that asked me, will text me and say, "How are you doing? Really, how are you doing?" A lot of my friendships were in the past were like really, we'll check on each other once in a while, but it's not consistent like I have with my one friend. So that was new to me. I had to get used to, I had to rewire my brain and say, well, my other guy friends don't call or text that much because I'm assuming they okay. So I guess that's what it is. But when you have one close friend that actually just texts you and asks you, are you really okay? It kind of revalidates your feelings that, maybe this is what a close friendship looks like. And that, you know, then versus when I had my other friends, didn't really, they didn't really care that much about each other,
No,
so to
you just
speak,
brought up a good point. You just brought up a good point that for me, I always have a problem of reaching out to somebody and checking up on them, and I always heard no news is good news, right? So I just figured my homeboy not calling me, then everything's good on his side, and they're not calling me. They know that everything's good on my side, but that's not true. It's really not. And so you get to the point where it's like, all right, who's gonna make the first move? And then when we do link up, it's like we don't talk about any of the issues that we have going on. Hey, how things going with you? Oh, good. You good? All right. And then that's it. We watch the game or whatever. It was like no actual conversation being had there, or like dancing around like everything else. Like inside, like man, I just want to tell you, like man, I had to struggle at work, but and blah 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 blah. But you're afraid to say that because of you want to be that strong guy. It's like man, I can handle it myself. I got it.
Yeah, I think the first time I broke down in front of my mother was like last year because I was just going through a lot of things, job wise. I was just mentally stressed out, just mentally drained from some of my past relationships. And I think that was the first time she ever saw me cry, which is sad because, you know, men, we can cry now. There's nothing to be ashamed about that. But I just always had that feeling that that would make me less of a man if I if I didn't cry in front of people. But we're moving past that now and we can talk about it. But like to answer the question, like close friends, like I think you have to just kind of evaluate, who's going to be there and who's not. And if you can have those intimate conversations without it, making it seem strange. Because a lot of times we're not going to open up like that. I know for me, I'm not going to open up that completely with, another guy.
So let me ask a question because I feel like the people that will watch this, our viewers, would have this question. It's like, so how do you know when you can be vulnerable with somebody, or how do you get to that point? So,
I
Chris,
think
what do you think about that?
I think you can't wait. You can't you can't you can't determine whether the person is ready to hear who you are. Just like when we were kids, like I talked about, man, bring that fucking basket and dump it out in front of them. And if they resonate, they resonate. If they don't, you've saved yourself so much time fooling them and fooling yourself about the person that you're not. And I find, yeah, man, I don't have friends because I'm 100% vulnerable to everybody I meet. I don't give a shit. You know, here I am. Here's my wounds. Here's where I came from. Here's my past. Here's my garbage. Here's my junk. Man, you still want to talk to me? If you do, we're gonna be friends. We're gonna be friends for a long fucking time because I found somebody, right? And I think if you can have the strength and the vulnerability to just be like, "Yeah,
get it all out there, no matter how bad it is.
yeah, man, just fucking dump it, dude. Just, man, it sucks and it's hard and it's going to be uncomfortable the first time you do it. But the second time you do it, it'll be easier. And the third time you do it, it'll be easier. And the fourth time you do it, it'll seem like it's no big deal. And the reactions that you get won't matter to you because you feel true to yourself, your authentic, genuine self who inside has nothing to hide from anybody. I've got nothing that I care to hide from anyone ever. You want to know something about me? Ask me about it. I'll tell you every little dirty, gritty detail. We resonate, we resonate. We don't, we don't. It's
Yeah,
not
and
the
I think and I think that you have to. It goes back to trust when you can be vulnerable with people. Because, like I said, if I'm not gonna just tell people all my baggage and my shit without a level of relatability and trust, I have to be able to relate to you and understand that you go through problems too, just like I did. Why are we hiding things from each other? We're both men trying to survive the world. So
Well, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so we should be able to have that open dialogue without it being judgmental or without it being weird or whatever. Because we're both guys and we're both struggling. So it just goes back to how well you know the person and get to know them and just being able to relate to them in general. You know?
And so to sum it up, like to get back to the question, like when do you know is that time when you can be vulnerable enough? And Chris said, like, just put it out there. Now, obviously, with some context to that, right, Chris? You're not saying like on day one, hey, here's everything about me, right? But like, you're not going to waste a whole lot of time. Like a whole year has gone by, and that's why I want to show some context with Duran. You're saying too that you're not going to wait a whole year to get to know somebody to be like, all right, I think we're friends. I can tell you all this stuff. Like, there's
Yeah.
some things like, all right, you're not going to share
It's
your
years in the
all your
making.
financial stuff with them, but right,
Years in the making. Like,
yeah. So there's a fine line in there, and we don't have the answer, but I don't. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking like, when can I be vulnerable? And part of it is like, if this is a person that you've hung out with a few times, and you feel like as a guy, yeah, this is a guy I think I can hang out with. We kind of relate. Then you gotta let me know, like if there's something that's in your past, like man, I've had this crazy ex-girlfriend. What about you? And you just maybe start with one small thing that you're okay with being out there, and then see how that works. And then maybe if they reciprocate, then you know it's a match right there. And you know, bro code, whatever it is, guy code, like cool. He shared, I shared, we're good. Then you can build on more things. Like man, I'm really having relationship problems right now, or I'm super stressed at work. Then you can start bringing those other things on. It's like, but don't want to wait too long. And you don't want to just do it all immediately right at once. But like for me right now, I feel like I'm like Chris, like you said, it's hard the first couple times because the first couple times it's not going to work out. Or you want to share, and then people are like, "Oh yeah, I'll be there for you," and then they're not, right? And then you're hurt. And so now it's like, if somebody asks me a question, I'm going to tell you. I have nothing to hide too. Like I am an open book. I I I want people to know that they can trust me. And if you reciprocate, great. If you don't, I'm not embarrassed about what I told you because I'm human and I go through things just like everybody else.
I don't want people to be perfect around me. That's
Yeah,
not what I want. I want someone that I can trust, someone that I can relate to, and just be able to go there and just talk about anything and everything if it's within reason, you know. Obviously, you don't have to share your whole life history with me and all the things that you've been through in your life, but if I'm reciprocating something that's, you know, to the next level that I'm ready to talk about and you're not really receptive of that, then I would see that this is not going to last long. It's really, we're on the surface level. We're not at a deeper level yet.
yeah. And
Yeah.
to a point, I mean, really, there's nothing wrong with that too. To a certain extent, if you realize that that friend is not a friend that you can really put all your trust into, then you leave him at the, that's an associate type of
Yeah.
friendship where y'all can hang out and do fun things together, but like you're not going to divulge like your master plan for growing your business, right? You're not going to share those type of things with that person, but it's still to hang out with. And so that person's not going to be that close friend that we're looking for. But realizing that and accepting that too, like you don't have to force it. Like, okay, yeah, we'll cool, we'll hang out every once in a while, but that's where it's going to stay, and you stay comfortable with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that
I have
keeps
this one friend.
self-awareness,
Yeah, I have
right?
this one
Self-awareness.
friend. Yeah, I have this one friend where we just laugh and joke. That's all we do. Text each other's memes and stuff like that. But we never, I've been knowing him for like 2 years now, but we never got to talk about what type of issues that we have, you know, what affects us on the day to day. We just joke and laugh. That's all we do. Isn't that sad?
And both of you, like, that's what you need from that relationship, right? And that's
Yeah,
like
but
would you like
I
it to
think
go
I'm ready
further,
for
or are
it to
you
be
just like,
I
it's
think I'm
cool?
ready for it to be at a deeper level now, like where we could talk about different things because I know because like I think we only talked about one thing that was really serious and just our jobs because we both hate our jobs. I think that's the only thing we ever talked about that was really less, not at a surface level, but more at a deeper
Right,
level. But
right,
other than that, it's just how you doing? Text each other's memes, stuff like that. It's not really serious. We haven't got to that point yet.
right.
And
Do
then
you
my
do you
one
think it
friend,
would be receptive? And that's like, because this is literally the thing, man. Like, do you want it to go to that next level, or have you gotten to a point where you're like accepted that this friendship is what it is? Because you've,
it is what it is. I think
yeah,
I accepted it. It is what it is. Because there's
yeah,
different types of friendships. You got people that you can go to about your problems and they'll listen to you. You got people that just want to be your friends, but they don't want to be associated to hear all your problems. And then you got friends that's just fake. They
So
come
let me
around when
tell
it's
y'all.
convenient.
So let's get real. I'm gonna tell y'all a real life situation that happened with me. Right. So this was probably like 10 years ago. I when I was a kid, like I said, when I was a kid, I used to hang out with my cousins a lot, and so I had an opportunity to move to a town. I moved to San Diego, and one of my cousins, he was like maybe 2 years younger than me. At the time, I was maybe 25, 26, and he's a little bit younger than me, but still cool, no problem. I always liked hanging out with him when we were younger, and now we had the opportunity to be roommates, right? Because I was getting an apartment. I said, "Hey man, why don't you come live with me? It'd be great." And we did that. And then I went on deployments on my ship, and we went to my dog's going to join me. Say hi. So then I went on deployment on
Oh,
my ship, and I was gone for 6 months, 6 to 8 months. And when I came back, we messaged every now and then, but he took care of the house. I had a brand new car. He took care of it for me. But like I said, if I didn't hear from him, I thought everything was cool. If he didn't hear from me, everything was cool. But when I came back, I was like, all right, man, I thought we was gonna be like best friends, right? That's the whole reason why I was like, man, this is great. We get to relive like how we were kids. And it was nothing like that. Like we were end up like literally like just roommates. And so I was kind of hurt, but I never knew how to express it. Was that, man, I thought we was gonna be like best friends and always hanging out. And it ended up like he had his thing, his crew that he had, and I rarely got invited to hang out with them. and me. So like I would invite him out to hang out with the guys from the ship that I knew, but it was hardly ever reciprocated. And so like for that 2 years, it ended up being kind of awkward. Just like I thought we were going to be close, and then we weren't. And so I never knew how to express that to him. To say like, man, like you know, it seemed kind of weird here, and I just never know what really happened with that. And so now, like we don't even talk. Like I moved away. I moved to DC because I got relocated, and we never really spoke after that.
Yes, you was expecting a deeper friendship, and you got just a surface level, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought that was weird since we kind of grew up together, and like I said, back then, now I would know how to address it. I'm like, hey man, what's up? But now, or back then, I didn't know how to express it, and it was kind of you know, I I was shy to express my feelings to another man. Like, I thought we would be closer than we really were.
I think it goes back to that toxic masculinity that I was talking about earlier. Like some men are just not really receptive of opening up with one another because they're conditioned, society conditioning them to not be vulnerable. So I mean, you get what you get. So if you have those deeper conversations with men, you know, that's just not surface level. That's a good thing. But if you don't, you have to just accept what it is and move on. That's going to move on to somebody else that's going to give you that deeper connection. Not in a weird way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no,
There's a
absolutely. And
lot
so,
to not chasing as well, right? Like most of us get to a point where we don't want to chase these friendships that we thought might work out, but don't. And it sucks, man. It sucks to just shut it down like that when you're enthusiastic. Like Wayne, man, that was a really good story. I appreciate you sharing that because I've experienced that as well, both with family members and friends, where you had this great picture of what it was going to work out like I have one. We reconnected, a friend that I reconnected with from elementary school. We reconnected now as adults, and I was like, oh man, like this is going to be lit, bro. And it was everything but lit. And I could not pull the freaking enthusiasm out of this thing to save my life, man. And as much as I want that friendship to work out historically, because the dude is awesome and I want to be in his life again and I want him to be in my life, I don't have the energy to keep trying to make that happen with him. And this guy's like literally my best friend from my childhood. I spent more time with this person than I spent with just about anyone else on this planet other than my kids, right? So like we know each other, and he knows all the dirt that I went through when I was a kid. His dad was actually there for me to like help me survive a lot of shit. But now as an adult, he's like, why are you still carrying that baggage from when you were a little kid? And I'm like, dude, not by choice, man. This is not like I don't carry
yeah,
this like a lunch kit. This isn't like my pride bag I carry around. Like here's all my messed up stuff. It, it just is, man. I am the way that I am, and like growing up, I would have thought there would be a little bit more understanding there, and he'd be like, "Yeah, dude, like I'm glad you made it, and the person you are is a good person, and let's reconnect." And he's got kids the same age as my kids, so I was like, "Oh, this is match made in heaven, bro. This is gonna be so good." And it's just not going anywhere, man. It's not happening as much as I want it to. I can sprinkle dust on it all day, and it ain't going anywhere. So we gotta
yeah,
learn this.
yeah.
So we talked about a lot today about why we don't have close friendships with some of our guy friends, but I know some of our audience members are just thinking like, how can we have close relationships with guys without it being weird or anything like that? Like how can we accept that that vulnerability with them?
So I think a part of it now is that finding your tribe, finding your group, doing things that you like to do. So I posted something like this on our IG today. Don't hide yourself to be friends with somebody. Find the people that accept you for how you are. And how do you do that? Well, I mean, there's this thing in the States, I don't know if it's in Canada, but it's called Meetup, right? You meet up with people who have similar interests and y'all just do whatever activity it is. So that's one of the ways you can do it, is just find things like that, or whether it's video games, whether it's basketball, whether it's reading or volunteering or gardening or whatever, just finding your interest, doing that thing will bring people into your life. That's one way of looking at it.
Okay.
That's a really good point, man. Doing things with passion that make you passionate, you'll find other people that are also passionate about stuff. And that is like, you know, that's a really good glue to start building a friendship with. So like without going too deep, it's like a good source pool, right? To find people. And that's a
Yeah.
good point, Wayne, because you know that's not something often people think about. But I noticed that like when I start getting into the mental health field and like talking about mental, I'm meeting a lot of really cool men who are also doing the same thing, right? Like in a very short period of time, my acquaintance list has went from 0 people to about 1,000 people.
Because there's a lot of men that's lonely out there. It really
Yeah,
is.
man, there's a lot. And you know, maybe I could just be that guy that we send memes back and forth to, right? Whatever. That's great. I could use that, right? And I know other people could use that. I got some good memes, man. If you want to be meme bros, let's be meme bros, you know. But
Yeah.
I enjoy the deeper things, but I'm learning to appreciate those little small, teeny tiny friendships now as well. As much as, you know, I want that really deep, gritty stuff, you know, like Wayne said, man, sometimes you just gotta accept what it is, and for the period that you get it and for what it is. I would rather have those little teeny tiny, you know, tidbits of friendship, you know, the meme friends, than no friends at all.
Yeah. So you
At
have to
least
start
it's something.
small before you go bigger. That makes
Yeah, right. At
sense.
least it's something when you're sitting in your house alone and you're bored and you're lonely, you know, you can throw out a meme and at least get a laugh back, right? Or at least, you know, you never know. Something.
Hey, you can send them to me, man. I'll laugh. That's it.
No, I want to talk to you on a deeper level. We're far past that superficial garbage.
I mean, that is true. Like, I mean, literally, like for the people watching this, we met online on a men's mental health group. Literally, like what, a month and a half ago.
February. Yeah, February.
And not to say like you guys are my best friends, but we really form a connection amongst us three that has really grown. And you know, as we progress in our friendship, we'll be able to share even deeper stories, have other people do that. And you know, if you're not in our Discord, I'd really advise you get in there because it's a really good conversation that's happening there. Like the guy Kyle that I met yesterday, the military guy, and we started chatting all types of. I think I fell asleep texting him, and so when the last time I fell asleep texting another guy, like, and my wife's like, "Who you texting?" I'm like, "Man, this guy I just met online on the chat." But you know, those type of the connections that we're looking to have with you guys, our viewers, and while we're forming this community, is a way for us like-minded men to meet each other. So yeah, I'm really glad I met you guys, and look forward to seeing how this continues.
Yeah, likewise. I think we're gonna be doing just great. Like if we keep having these conversations, we can impact men around the world. I'm serious. Like if our Discord grows and blows up, we can go global. That's what I'm picturing.
Yeah,
Hey,
boys.
real quick, not to mention, all right, I'm repping his shirt right now. Anthony, our first guest on the show from Dad Can We Talk. Anthony, I can't wait to meet you when you come up here. That's why I'm repping his shirt today. So, yeah.
Go follow Anthony Ray. He has his own podcast. He was our first ever guest star on our show. So go ahead and go over there and follow his channel if you haven't. But we're gonna wrap this up today, guys. I really appreciate all the good conversations like we normally have. This one was very needed that we need to talk about because there's a lot of men that's struggling in the world. They don't know who they can turn to, but we are their support system. You don't have to be psychiatrists, therapists, or any clinicians to just be our authentic selves and help other people that's in need. We are down here to help each other, and we are down here to understand that as men, we go through feelings. We have these different days that our emotions up and down. Doesn't matter. But when we form this group, when we talk about all this stuff that we just hold in, but when we let it all out and talk about it, it helps us to bring us together, all around the world. But on that note, I really appreciate you guys for continuing to stick and talk about these topics. The following week, we are going to have two veterans on our show. That's going to be a good conversation. I think the conversation is going to be around parental alienation. So stay tuned for that. We got you covered. We're going to be having some good conversations about that. And on that note, do you guys want to wrap up and say any final words?
I'll just say that if y'all have things that we're not talking about that y'all want to hear, send it to us on TikTok, YouTube, Discord. Let us know what y'all want to hear as well, and we'll have this conversation. And definitely, our guest list is filling up. So if you want to join, this is for all of us. So bring your stories, and this is a judgment-free place to release.
All right. Any final thoughts, Chris?
I just want to say thank you guys for joining us again today. I really appreciate having a safe place for us all to speak. I appreciate Wayne and Duran for everything you added for today, man. There's some really good stories, really good conversation today. So can't wait till next time, and we'll see you guys for all episode 7.